Hey, happy Sunday. I'm still really tired today. I'm not gonna lie, but I thought I'm gonna come out. There's a lot of mosquitoes, so I'm gonna try to get through this without getting eaten alive. And I'd love to chat with you about recruiting. Now, today I'm gonna hit the mindset behind recruiting. And as I was thinking about this, there are literally so many issues there could be. I'm gonna hit the top three. The first one kind of has two pieces linked. I'm gonna hit the top ones. We're gonna talk about that. Then we're going to keep going. I'm going to try to track my time. I'm going to try to keep this to 8 minutes. I know 5 is not enough, but I think 10, I can do it in under 10. So these are mindset issues. You can have all the tools. If you do not tackle these mindset issues, it's never going to work. You're going to have to. There's tons of podcasts, there's tons of resources. There's way too much for me to adequately cover in the short amount of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the top ones. I'm going to explain them briefly. If you want resources, I listen to a lot of different podcasts. All the gals in the team, Marge, Sheila, they all know have really good resources for podcasts. I listen to a lot of Brittany Howard. I do like Kristen Boss, her podcast. There's tons of things on mindset. So you just have to find the right tool. But first, I want you to identify which of these are you struggling with. So when people say, hey, I want to build a business, what thought comes to your mind? Here's one. I don't know enough people. I don't know anybody. Really? Do you? Do you not know enough people? Or are you prejudging the people you know? Often we prejudge the people and we think, well, this person wouldn't do it because of this, and this person wouldn't do it because of this, and this person wouldn't do it because of this. We minimize the connections we have. We think we need to have this super deep BFF type relationship, and you don't. You have a solution. People have a problem. If people have a genuine problem and you have a genuine solution and you talk to them about it, you never know who's going to say yes. So don't prejudge the people and don't say you don't know people. If you do need to meet more people, meet more people. That's what this whole thing is about, meeting people online, getting out in person, getting out and saying hi, keeping your head up when you're somewhere. I saw this even at the convention last week, you guys. I saw so many people constantly down in their phones. Lift your head up, talk to people, right? Interact with people, go meet people. If you don't know people, there's 8 billion people on the planet. All of them need gut health, all of them. So go find them. Okay. That's number one. The second one that's connected to that is the people I know don't want Plexus. The people I know would never do this. Again, you're prejudging, or you might have the thought, everyone I've already asked that I know has said no. Is it really everyone or is it 3 people? Have you asked 3 people and they've said, oh no, so now you're frustrated. These 3 people have said no. So you're like, no one I know wants Plexus. Well, first of all, remember, it took me 5 years to get on board. There's 20 touches. What a touch means, and I think we gloss over this, a touch means it doesn't just mean an interface of them reading your media, social media, or your content. That's part of it. But sometimes it's them saying no to you. Sometimes that's a touch. So sometimes they say no, and because they're not ready, or you haven't given them the right information. Maybe you came across as too pushy. Maybe you didn't listen. Maybe you talked too much, right? So you really have to give people a chance. But if you're saying, none of the people in my world want it, that's probably not true. They probably just don't know. You haven't given them enough information, and your mindset is making you freak out about it. You have like, the people don't want it, and so you're shutting down and you're getting very stressed out about it. Okay, so you have to just realize that there's lots of people out there, and you have to change the narrative in your mind, right? I'm going to kind of go through all the issues, and I'll give you a couple examples of what I mean by changing the narrative. The second thing a lot of people say is, I don't have time to do the business. The reality is, when you're starting out, half an hour to an hour of solid focused work is all you need. That's all you need. And I know you're doing it. I know you're scrolling cooking videos or cake decorating videos or cat videos, or you're in meme clubs and you're looking through 40,000 memes. Last week, I had 3 women who have all told me before they're too busy for Plexus. Between the 3 of them, and I wasn't checking my Instagram, the reels and stuff people were sending me. I have people send me reels. Between the 3 of them, they sent me 12 reels. How many minutes is that? People have the time. They're not prioritizing it. So if you're saying, I don't have the time for this, are you willing to make a sacrifice and find the time? You have the time. You just don't want to prioritize the time. So you have to change your mindset around that too. The third one, and this is me, this is my recruiting, was always my recruiting issue. If I ask people and say no, they're going to judge me. I was afraid to talk to people. And knowing what I know about the brain, I know that if you're afraid to do something, your brain doesn't distinguish between the fear of asking someone and having them say no versus you jumping off a cliff and dying. The pain of rejection, your brain takes very seriously, and it has a very deep impact, because at the core, we're social beings. We want to be connected with people. So when we have that rejection, when we talk to someone and they say no to us, that's very, very hard. And it's very, very real, but we internalize it. They said no because there's something wrong with me, because I'm not good enough, because I have no value. And so when we have this mindset around recruiting, it's not always the task itself. It's what we're making it mean. Okay. So I want to give you a quick example. And I want you to kind of think through, how does this impact everything? And then let's have a conversation. Pop in the chat what your mindset issue is. And if you're really stuck and you're like, I have no idea, we'll talk more about it. Okay. So a circumstance will happen. So for me, this was my narrative. I started on social media. When I started Plexus, I wasn't on social media at all. And I had a lot of apprehensions because I had been in another network marketing company in my early 20s when I was first married. And I had the gal that I did it with. She was very driven, very focused. And it wasn't meshing with me. And the company was very, very pushy as far as how they were telling us to do it. I didn't feel comfortable, right? So I didn't do it well, and for that people judged me. So when I started, it's very windy. I had some concerns. I had some legitimate, genuine concerns about, would this work, right? So I was like, I need to get on social media. So I get on social media. Literally, I had 2 people friend request me. The third person that friend requested me, she messaged me. She goes, so what are you selling? I was like, what that's supposed to mean? She goes, all you girls do the same thing. She's older than me. She's like, you're not on social media. You start social media and you start pumping your wares. And she's like, no one wants that. You can just take it and go. This paralyzed my business. The reason I didn't business build for 1 year was because of this one comment. So her saying that to me, I had a thought about it. And my thought about it was, oh my gosh, I'm the spammiest, worst, most awful person ever. And the feeling I had about that was, I'm spamming people. I can't do that. So because I had a negative thought and feeling about it, my actions were, I showed up on social media without talking about Plexus for an entire year. An entire year, I didn't mention Plexus at all. Sometimes I sort of alluded to something-ish, gut health, not at all. Okay. What were my results? Well, I didn't grow because no one knew what I was doing. Right. So I started doing some mindset coaching, and I realized her saying that to me was actually neutral. I'm like, what a mean comment. It actually wasn't a mean comment. The way I interpreted it, what was a problem. It was totally neutral. I could choose it to mean nothing. So what I worked through with that issue is I had the circumstance that people will judge me for selling on social media. The thought I chose to pick was, some people will, but some people won't. And I had many thoughts, and I chose many thoughts over an entire year to work through this. Maybe not a year, maybe 6 months. It was a long time. So my thoughts, I picked different thoughts. I would pick a different thought every day to work through. But here's one thought. A lot of people want what I have. My feeling, I'm going to show up confident. And I'll be honest, I wasn't like, oh, I'm excited. I was like, I'm going to feel neutral. I'm going to choose not to feel bad. And then once I felt good about not feeling bad, I was like, okay, now I'm going to choose to feel a little bit confident. And I had to work my way up to excited. But what happened as I chose better and better and better thoughts, my actions, I started posting, I started showing up, I started being regular. I had people reach out to me. I reached out to people and said yes. And the results, I started to grow. Okay. I want to give you another example of that. Let's say the circumstance, let's say you're like, I'm too busy. So someone in your life tells you that you didn't make time for them. So you feel guilt. So your thought is, I can't do Plexus because all these people need me. You feel guilty. Your actions are, you don't show up for this because you think you have to please all these people. Your results, again, you're not going to grow. So what if this happens? What if the circumstances, someone says, I feel like you're too busy for me. And your thought is, right now I'm having different priorities and I actually don't have time for that. I'm choosing this. And your feelings about that are, okay, happy. I'm fine with choosing the way I'm choosing. Your actions and your results will follow. And so I feel like we choose to make things a bigger deal than they are, and we choose to fill in the blank. I hear a lot of things, even last week at the convention. I heard a lot of people say, well, I just assumed, or you wanted this, or I wanted this, or this person wanted this. No, you're filling in the blank of what you think based on your experience. That's not necessarily true. We have to take the feeling and the emotion out and be curious about it. We have to be curious about, why are you struggling with recruiting? I know why I'm always struggling with recruiting. I've always struggled with being a high recruiter because I constantly am aware that I don't want people thinking that that's all I want. I don't want them to feel like a number. And partially, if I'm being honest, it's because that was my experience. That's how I felt in life, in other situations. So when that happens to me, I want so badly to make sure people know I love them for who they are, that I spend so much time in the relationship building zone and I don't make the ask. And so I've had to work really intentionally at that. And it's an ongoing process, but it starts with the thoughts I pick. Instead of thinking, if I ask this person and they don't like me, were they ever really a friend? If they, I don't have time. I was saying this to some of the gals last week. I don't have time for tons more friends. So if I ask someone, do you want to do this business with me? There's going to be one of three responses. They're going to say yes. Awesome. They're going to say not right now or no, and they're not going to judge the friendship and it will stay as it is, or they're going to get mad at me and not be my friend anymore. Well, then were they ever really my friend? Right. So you have to really understand what is holding you back from recruitment. Do you think you're too busy? Do you think you don't know the people? Are you afraid to meet new people? Are you shy? Are you afraid to talk to people? Are you afraid to ask? You have to figure out what it is and get really clear on what is the thought you're making up? What is the lie you're making up? And how is that making you feel? Do you feel shame? Do you feel judgment? Do you feel guilt? When you're really clear on how that's making you feel and the thoughts you're having, you're going to be able to pick a new thought and you're going to be able to work through it. Now, I'm really condensing like a giant concept into a short amount of time. But I think for today, if you can identify what is the one issue you're having with recruiting, what is that issue? And if you can identify that and start there, the rest is going to be easy, because I know there's a podcast out there that can walk you through mindset. I've been loving Brittany Howard's. There's book study. There's always things we can do. Ask your leader. We've all had drama and we all continue to have drama. I have a ton of drama that I just daily choose to work into. So that's recruiting. If you're struggling with recruiting, that's okay. Lots of us do. We're just going to keep working at it together. We're going to keep being honest about where our mindset's at. We're going to identify what is the issue holding us back. We're going to keep going. I apologize if this was scattery. I got in really late Friday night and yesterday was so busy. So I got like 4 hours of sleep Friday night. Saturday, I was crazy busy. And today I'm trying to get stuff done and I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts. So I hope that made sense. If it didn't, I apologize, but reach out. I'd love to explain it more, but let's have conversations in the group. You're not the only one struggling with the mindset around recruiting, and I know you can do it. So have a good Monday.